at some point the shape of New Zealand families has shifted, which has impacted on old people, particularly in the grandparenting role, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think several contributors are going on here. So you've got, I think the internet has opened up New Zealand to the world. I think cheaper flights has meant that the OE has become not just a 2-year stint, but like quite a long stint for a lot of folk. You know, we've got about, I don't know how many people live outside of New Zealand, but there's many. So I would say that it's changed the shape of the family structure for at least 2 generations, maybe even 3. Yeah, you just got folk who don't live in the same town, let alone country anymore. So that's made a massive change on the role of being a grandparent. Most people I know, and I think you might agree, I think we spoke earlier, but don't live near their grandparents and barely see them, and that's changed the way that a big role that once upon a time a grandparent had was to be heavily involved in the family, from picking up kids from school to cooking scones for them on the afternoons or whatever. It's just not happening as much as it used to by a long shot. That
was sort of the prototypical, you're retired, you don't need to work anymore, what are you going to do with your life to contribute back to whether it's society or the people around you? Be a great grandparent, look after the kids, and all of a sudden, if for whatever reason you don't live in the same city as your grandkids, or you don't have grandkids because people, your family are choosing not to have them, or another big element is key to your research is, if people are living in retirement villages and not specifically in the house that their grandparents might be in, all of these things have contributed to
massive
that
separation.
That grandparenting model not being such an obvious, what am I going to do with my life to age successfully or bring meaning is a big thing, right?
Yeah. I think it was a inevitable kind of part of life once upon a time, and it really isn't now. Yeah.
And that, I guess, takes us into the focus of your research, which is this idea of an IGP, intergenerational program. I want to let you introduce it because you obviously know a lot more about it than I do, but can you explain what an IGP is and I guess the role that it is playing and is continuing to develop in this new world of aging that we kind of find ourselves in? Yeah,
so IGPs were, or intergenerational programs were developed essentially to bring older and young folk together because people had identified, as we just spoke about, that there was a gap in our society. So I don't know, I can't recall where they were first implemented, but there's a lot of it going on in the States, there's a lot of it going on in the United Kingdom, in Scandinavia, Asia, quite a bit in Australia, not much in New Zealand. I actually don't know if there's anything happening right now. When I was studying, where I did this research, we were pretty much the only intergenerational program in New Zealand. There had been a bit of bringing together the sort of the different generations, but nothing formalised. But yeah, so they're essentially an opportunity for older people to delight in younger people, to have that life kind of force around them that they otherwise wouldn't have, and vice versa for the children to perhaps gain some wisdom, to see a different way of being and appreciate it and be empathetic towards old people instead of maybe how they were portrayed in the media or whatever. And they can be between older people and teenagers, they can be between older people and preschool age kids, the full gamut. And they vary massively. So they can be, some people live in the same building and it's really, quite an intense experience. Or it could be like the one I did, which was more of a once or twice a week, an hour, do something like read or play a game or cook or do some woodwork or something. So, it's about this nice fluid exchange between the 2 generations, and I think they're cool, really cool. They're quite beautiful.
Thanks for watching PhD Unpacked. If you enjoyed that little snippet and you want to watch the whole interview and have access to a whole bunch of extra stuff surrounding the PhD Unpacked project, head over to Patreon and become a patron. Patreon.com/PhD Unpacked.